Welcome back, True Seeker. May 14th, 2026. 4 years ago on this day, we had a white supremacist shoot up the tops in Buffalo, New York. A story that didn't make any sense. Yours truly traveled to Buffalo because I had predicted we would see some kind of act of violence and white supremacy on that very day. It ended up being at the Buffalo Tops. And something similar going on today, 4 years to the day later. Of course, this did happen yesterday, but it's today's news, mainstream covering it. This white supremacist who roams the streets of Nashville calling black people the N-word got into a nearly deadly shooting outside the courthouse days after posting online that we were near the series finale where it would end with a dead black man on the pavement and he would walk free, setting off riots, reminding us of what happened after the Rodney King beating on 3-3. And don't forget that Buffalo Tops is right on Route 33. And if you don't know the history of that Buffalo Tops, it was divided from the white neighborhood by the installation of Route 33. And then for years, they didn't have a grocery store there. So it was seen as this big accomplishment when the Buffalo Tops went there. And of course, Hillary Clinton went to cut the ribbon for the store. If you missed all my work on the shooting of the Buffalo Tops, it's too bad because it was on a channel that was deleted along with the other 25 channels YouTube's deleted. But anyway, as we covered, there was a celebrity who got canceled for using the N-word in Nashville. And this CHUD the Builder, he frequently walks the streets of Nashville calling black people the N-word. Again, this ritual that happened yesterday happened on Morgan Wallen's 33rd birthday, the country singer who got canceled for using the N-word in Nashville. And the Morgan Wallen incident happened on the 33rd day of the year. So I covered some of this information earlier, but I had some major oversights. I want you to see how perfectly planned all of this is and why this psychological operation, and that's people need to wake up to, this is one nation under psychological operation at all times because they have to keep us distracted, divided, in fear. It serves the controller's agenda. They keep us fighting over nothing, afraid of mostly nothing. And they do it through the screens, through social media, through all of the different things that they control, including CHUD the Builder. And when you think of the Builder, does it make you think of the Masons who venerate 33? I'm going to show you just how perfectly coordinated this entire thing is and how it's perfectly coordinated with the Grand Lodge of Tennessee. It's unbelievable. But then at the same time, it is totally believable because this is what we're here exposing every single day. Of course, I've been exposing this for going on every single day for 13 years. And I can't tell you how many times they've put the 33 stamp on the psychological operation, and they do that for a reason. Again, the U.S. Army Field Manual, it is Section 33 that is about psychological operations. And this nation essentially is one giant military empire where our tax money is, taken from us essentially by force and then spent on military activities all over the place. And police are military activities. Keep that in mind. And no doubt the police stand behind these rituals, including what happened yesterday, which makes no sense. I mean, a shooting in front of a courthouse and none of it was captured on camera. That's because this is all a bunch of bullshit too. But the bullshit still serves the psychological impact. So I'm gonna cover some of the things that we already covered this morning and add in the new elements that show you just how perfectly planned and coordinated all of this is. Again, this happened May 13th, 13/5, right? If you're new here, the practice of coding numbers into words, it's really an elementary practice. There's 4 base ciphers, all based on the alphabetic order. As we covered yesterday before this story broke, Rand Paul had the CIA whistleblower testifying to Congress. But notice, Central Intelligence Agency's 135. And if you're not aware of this, look it up. There's a statue outside of the CIA's front door called Cryptos. It's in tribute to cryptography and specifically the practice of coding numbers into words, Cryptos. So again, this is what your government does every single day, goes over most people's heads. But yeah, it was the 33rd birthday of Morgan Wallen that this happened. And remember, he's born in 93. Like the last hantavirus outbreak was in 93. And look it up. There were 33 confirmed cases in the Four Corner states 33 years ago. They put 33 on all of these virus scares too. All of them, from Zika to Ebola to all of it. Cooties 19, all of it. But notice, Morgan Wallen's also 135, like his birthday is 13/5. And again, he got canceled for using the N-word on the 33rd day of the year, February 2nd. Now on his 33rd birthday, a guy who roams the same streets where he said the N-word, you know, his psyop is coming to its near end. We'll see if his tweet about how he'll walk free causing riots will also occur. It's a reminder that the George Floyd riots started on 33rd Street, and they had parallels to the Rodney King beating riots that came from the 3/3 beating, and which was the anniversary of the Trayvon Martin burial, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, just to remind you, Nashville has the same 102 value as slavery as the N-word. And did you guys hear my video earlier today where I talked about why it matters that this happened 31 days after the 102nd day of the year? Did you hear that in the earlier video? Because now they've put out the person who got shot, Joshua Fox, who just happens to be 31 years old. Remember, April 12th, the 102nd day of the year, is the day in history the American Civil War began, largely over slavery. And again, Chud the Builder has that gematria of 68. This happened on the 13th, and it happened 276 weeks from the Morgan Wallen incident, which is the 23rd triangular number. Not to mention Chud the Builder's birthday is the 27th of June, which can be written 27/6. And the attorney generals who spoke out about this in the news, whose name is also 68 like CIA. But yeah, 33rd anniversary. One more time. Race war, masonry, police, federal, secrecy, order. They're all 33. Tennessee equates to 137, which is the 33rd prime number. And look at this. The Grand Lodge of Tennessee, its establishment anniversary is December 27th. From that day to this ritual yesterday was 137 days, the 33rd prime. And again, the 33rd prime, U.S. Army Field Manual, Section 33, the psychological operations section. As I always point out, they love to put the 33 with the 74. This is a pairing they do all the time. Again, out of the 50 states, only one equals 74, the 33rd state. London, for example, equals 74. It's divided into 33 neighborhood areas. And on and on and on. Cross equals 74 like Jesus. Jesus on the cross at 33. Anyway, his birth name, Chud the Builder, is Dalton Ederly, which equals 74 like Clarksville. This happened outside the Clarksville courthouse, which is not far from Nashville. And us white supremacist is also 74. Masonic. Once upon a time, to be a Mason, you had to be white in modern Freemasonry, and that's why they created the Prince Hall branch of Freemasonry for black men. So, you know, the white supremacy thing goes with the history of Masonry. Masonic, occult, gematria, English, London holiday, and the list goes on. Independence Day, the list goes on. Just the 74 number is all important. And you think about this nation's birthday, the 7th month, 4th day, when it really shouldn't be that day. But again, Independence Day equals 74. The U.S. did declare independence on July 2nd, for people who don't know. But with regards to white supremacy, it's encoded in Jesus. Again, there's only one physical description of Jesus in the Bible, and it's somebody with darker skin, not white skin, darker skin. It's like burnt brass. That wouldn't be white. And hair like wool, that doesn't sound white to me. But he's portrayed as white, right? Because everything's been whitewashed. I made this point, and this is why we had the prediction for Israel's 74th birthday, that there'd be some kind of act of violence, and it would likely target a darker community and white supremacy. We called all this out before the Tops shooting happened, and that's why I went to the Tops location to teach on the ground about it. And what was funny is I had a great moment there where I had a whole bunch of people on the street gathered around listening, and this kid comes up, Chris Singleton, and he interrupted. And who he was is, if you guys remember the Charleston church shooting, his mother was supposedly killed in that shooting. And he's like, this sounds like a bunch of bullshit. And for those of you guys who are around, you might recall I did a couple interviews with Chris Singleton on my channel. And then later he offered me a whole bunch of money to take down the videos because he said it was interfering with his speaking engagements with children at schools. And I didn't take any of his money, but I just took the videos down because I guess it was the children part that got me, but I didn't want any of his money. And again, that guy lives in a $7.5 million house. Well, that was back at 2022 values before inflation went really through the roof. It's probably over 10 million now. Again, that kid was given a $7.5 million house after the death of his mother. And if you forgot about that, Chris Singleton, they brought him to a New York Yankees game, and he got to be part of a broadcast and yada, yada, yada. But I'm almost tempted to go back because I'm pretty sure I have those videos archived. I'm almost tempted to play them again, Mr. Chris Singleton. But yeah, the 74 encoding was all over the Dylan Stormroof Charleston church shooting. Here, where was Dylan Stormroof? Do you guys remember the story? They took him to the Burger King. Where was Dylan Stormroof arrested? June 18th. Here, let me see if I can pull this up. Let me see if Route 74. Let's see if I can pull this story up. Look at this. Dylan Stormroof was arrested in Shelby, North Carolina during a traffic stop. The arrest took place on the morning of June 18th on U.S. Route 74. This is exactly what I was educating about. And I even brought this up when the Chris Singleton guy interrupted my street presentation where we had people gathered around listening. And the other weird thing about that was, if you remember the Sandy Bland story, the girl pulled over for not signaling and then found hanging in her jail cell in Texas. Her mom was out there too, and she was in the middle of, she had a camera crew around her. They were filming something for some kind of HBO special, and she actually approached me and said she was aware of my work, and she had watched it once upon a time on her daughter's death. She had an entourage that was the Nation of Islam. They invited me to some secretive meeting. I did not go because I don't trust the Nation of Islam. I've spoken out about how the Nation of Islam is a major psyop. But anyway, the point I'm making is it's just this same stuff over and over and over again. And remember, when the Buffalo Top shooting happened, it was synced with O.J. Simpson's 74th birthday. Because, of course, when O.J. Simpson left Buffalo, the town fell apart. But anyway, let's continue. CHUD the Builder, right? The Masons, a history of white supremacy, whites only. Israel, today's Israel's birthday. Israel's highly Masonic. Masonry teaches from the Old Testament. Jewish teachings like Jesus is from Judea. And again, you study the Bible. And by the way, we made good friends with the Hebrew Israel. It's too bad they deleted my channels because that, whatever it was, 12-hour live stream, and I was out in Buffalo for a week, but there was one day where we streamed for like 12 hours straight just educating. But there was a section of the video where the Hebrew Israelites were all out there all over the place, and different factions of the Hebrew Israelites were even warring with each other on the streets of Buffalo, competing for who could make the most noise and volume. But I got a lot of attacks when I was out there. Again, this was 4 years ago today. A lot of people are saying, you're the wrong color to be in this neighborhood right now. And if you remember, the news was saying, man, there's a food desert out in Buffalo. A lot of people just walk around going, we don't need you right now. It's a food desert. And I was just like, look how just people just parrot what they hear on TV. And I mean, you guys, there was free food everywhere. Every church and their mother was out there giving away hamburgers and hot dogs for like a whole week. So anyway, the Hebrew Israelites, they were calling me white devil. White devil, you don't belong here, white devil. I had a guy come up and say he was going to shoot me if I didn't leave. But what was beautiful is within about an hour of talking to these people and calming them down, we were like best friends. And then I was out there on the streets of Buffalo for the rest of that week, hanging out with the Hebrew Israelites, sharing the knowledge with them, showing them how it is. And the point I'm making is this nation has been so divided from all the psychological operations, especially all the stuff amongst race. But you know what brings people together? Standing on knowledge and showing people things that are undeniable. So here we are again, 4 years to the day, just teaching the exact same stuff. The exact same stuff because it is the exact same stuff over and over and over again. But yeah, here's what I didn't have earlier. I didn't know about this post. May 7th. Remember how, if you go back to my May 7th video, I was talking about how everybody and their mom was talking about CHUD the Builder online that day. Everybody was talking about CHUD the Builder, and I didn't realize what had spurred it on was his social media post that got a lot of attention. On May 7th, he wrote, series finale is dead chimp. This is what he refers to black men as, chimps. And if you don't know what he does, he goes up to black men and calls them the N-word for no reason. If they get a reaction, he starts saying, why you chimping out? Why you chimping out? Why you chimping out? I mean, just imagine being this big of a douche. And realize the real thing is, for everyone who's mad at Chud the Builder, what you need to recognize is there's puppeteers behind this man. And again, he's another, sounds like career criminal. I'm telling you, there's some kind of operation where they get people who have the right set of skills, tangibles that are in the prison industrial complex, and they use them for psychological operations. It's so obvious. Chud the Builder's another one of them. Maybe they knew he was dumb and confident enough to walk up to black men on the street and call them the N-word for no reason. But again, he writes, series finale is dead chimp on the pavement and you monkeys rioting when I walk free. Stay tuned. So he posted that May 7th. And think about it. May 7th, right? We've talked about this date so many times over the years with rituals similar to this. It's 5/7, and it's the 127th day of the year. The highest degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is 33. Again, all the 33s we talked about, right? And just like how Buffalo, it was Route 33 that separated the neighborhoods, that kept the black people from having a grocery store for decades, which eventually became the Buffalo Tops, which eventually became the race war shooting by the numbers. So again, and then this latest thing on Morgan Wallen's 33rd birthday, who called someone the N-word in Nashville and got canceled, and he did it on the 33rd day of the year. So anyway, this 33 thing now factors in with the Scottish Rite, which has the highest degree of 33. Scottish Rite 57, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry 127. May 7th, the 127th day of the year. And notice also, it's the day leaving 238 days remaining. I actually brought this up in my May 7th stream, saying how everybody was talking about Chud the Builder on the day leaving 238 days left in the year. Chud the Builder equals 238, as does Eye of Providence. And the Eye of Providence, if you don't know what it is, it's the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. The Eye of Providence is Masonic symbolism. It's super important to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So think about how perfect all of this is. And it goes to show he didn't invent his character name, Chud the Builder. His puppeteers did. And remember, modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. If you didn't know this, the Scottish Rite headquarters of Rome is right across the street from the Jesuit headquarters of the world. The rites of the Scottish Rite were written by Jesuit priests, and I'm always educating about how the Jesuits are responsible for the language and the calendar and built this system seemingly for world domination. And if you think that sounds dumb, again, there's a Kabbalistic belief system where this letter and number thing is believed to be the language of God. These people are playing God over humanity, and a lot of people should see that in themselves because they're constantly thinking about the bullshit that's put in front of them. Their mind is constantly being controlled by these people, the secret societies that control media and social media and what you see and what you don't. But yeah, this is so perfect. The 127th day of the year, the day leaving 238 days remaining. Chud the Builder, Eye of Providence. And right now, a lot of people's attention on Chud the Builder. And the difference between my channel and the other people are focused is most people are just like caught up in the PSYOP. You know, they're talking about caught up in the PSYOP. We're showing how the PSYOP works. Because by learning about this PSYOP, it'll help you see through the next PSYOP and the one after that and the one after that and the one after that. Because all of these numbers get used redundantly. Now, hold up. About him posting that he was going to shoot a black man who was going to end up on the pavement on May 7th, the 127th day of the year. So where does this happen at? Some articles refer to it as the Clarksville Courthouse, which equals 127. Clarksville Courthouse also equals 269, which is the 57th prime number. Again, he posted this on 5/7, the 127th day of the year. Other articles refer to it as the Montgomery County Courthouse, which also equals 127. And I noticed that Clarksville's launch is launch number 89. Chaos equals 89 for the record, and that's the whole thing, order out of chaos. Earlier today, before they'd even put out the victim, I mentioned how, again, I talked about how it was 31 days after the anniversary of the Civil War beginning on the 102nd day of the year, having to do with slavery, which is why there's so much sensitivity in this country around race and racial history. But I had to make this point that yesterday's operation was 31 days after the 102nd day of the year. And by the way, I mean, like we talked about yesterday, 133rd day of the year, the day this went down, government 133. You know, you got a racist president, president 133, White House 133. These things aren't an accident. Trump's meeting with the most powerful president in the world outside of the U.S., Xi Jinping, on the 133rd day of the year. These things aren't an accident. Um, but yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just business as usual is what it is. This is what goes on every single day in this nation. But yeah, 31 days later, how about that? In 127 is the 31st prime. And like I said about earlier, Obama equals 31 like slave. And Obama announced 31 years to the day of Black History Month being recognized by the feds on February 10th, 1976, that he was running for president, 31 years to the day. And some of you guys, man, your listening is so bad because somebody left a comment, the American Civil War didn't start on February 10th. It's not what I said earlier. I said February 10th can be written 10/2, a lot like April 12th, the 102nd day of the year. Again, pay attention. Don't try to multitask. A lot of you are probably watching porn or playing video games or doing God knows what while you also got the video on. Just listen to the video. Then you won't be leaving dumb comments like the person in the last video. Where the hell did I say the Civil War began on February 10th? Listen. By the way, the name of the person, Joshua Fox, 119, like Fraternal Order of Police, like All-Seeing Eye. And the Fraternal Order of Police, if you don't know, not only does it equal 119, their logo has the All-Seeing Eye in it. Should I put it up here? Here's the Fraternal Order of Police's logo. Let's see if I can make it bigger. Got the All-Seeing Eye, the Masonic handshake. Again, Masonry, secrecy, order, federal, police, race war, all 33. Rodney King on 3-3. Trayvon Martin buried on 3-3. George Floyd rioting starts on 33rd Street. On and on and on. And here we are on Israel's birthday, too, with going to that whole white supremacy thing because, the Hebrew Israelites, the one thing they are right about most definitely is stolen identity. No doubt about it. And yeah, again, in light of the Superior General being the head of the Jesuits and the Jesuits being what stands behind Scottish Rite of Freemasonry and the intelligence agencies and pretty much everything else going on in this nation, this ritual went down again on the 183rd day of his age. And the story is attempted murder, even though all of that looks like bullshit. But attempted murder has the same triple overlap with Superior General, matching up with how it lined up with his birthday. And Chud the Builder, Chud the Mason. By the way, Mason equals 28, like he's 28 years old. But 45 days before his upcoming birthday, racism ritual, IHS, which are the letters in the Jesuits logo. Morgan Wallen equals Jesuit order, Morgan Wallen's birthday. MLK was put in Montgomery County Jail, but in Alabama, just like Chud's in Montgomery County Jail. That happened to MLK on the 54th day of the year, 222 in a leap year. And by the way, this Chud the Builder, his message that he put out on May 7th, the predictive programming for what happened yesterday, he addressed the message to this guy. And do you see what stands out about this guy? Quadrupolar B. What's he use for a logo? He uses the Guy Fawkes mask. And what's the Guy Fawkes mask associated with? Remember the 5th of November, the day known as the Jesuit treason, the day the Jesuits tried to kill King James. Just like how I told you before any of those assassination hoaxes happened with Trump, there was going to be assassination stories on the campaign trail in 2024. It was foretold through the election day being November 5th. And the fact that in 2016, look it up, supposedly somebody tried to shoot Trump November 5th, 2016 in Nevada the first time around. It didn't get nearly the attention that, say, July 13th, 2024 did, or the latest thing at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, also synced with the Superior General. All these things have been synced with the Superior General. They're all hoaxes. But again, they're all psychological operations. One nation under psychological operation. JFK killed in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason who was in the newspaper business. And who did JFK give his speech to about secrecy? The Newspaper Publishers of America. Nobody makes that connection. For the record, Kennedy's also 33, just like secrecy. Kennedy gives the speech on secrecy, dies in a 33rd degree Mason Plaza. Please. Yeah, and there's a lot that's interesting about the account that he sent the message to about, that there's going to be a dead chimp on the pavement in the series finale. You see the 134? Here we are on the 134th day of the year where this is the news, right? We get the victim's name. 62 and 73 stands out because Mason equals 62 and 73 as well as 28, which is Chud's age, and the day of the shooting had 17 and 28 date numerology. And the day of the shooting was the date that we had circled for the kill date for the month. And they're saying neither person died, but it was an attempted murder. It was an attempted killing. Again, the date numerology passed for May 13, 2026. This is what makes the kill date the kill date. It only happens once a month. Next month will be 6/12, June 12th, which is the Minneapolis area code. And remember, you had this Minneapolis shooting stories by ICE at the beginning of the year on January 7th on the 44th parallel, reminding of 44-year-old Derek Chauvin. Anyway, ICE has a lot of the same numbers. ICE has the 6417. But yeah, what a perfect ritual for the shooting story. And remember, there's only 2 days of the week that have the same gematria shooting, Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesday's 37 and 44 like shooting. So, yeah, here's CHUD the Builder. And also, just for the record, since he did the majority of his dirty work in Nashville, look at how his full name overlaps with Nashville, Tennessee. Triple overlap with Nashville, Tennessee, where he did the majority of his race baiting. Nashville, Tennessee also has the 73 like Mason. But yeah, day after day, psychological operations, and you can see through just how they were executed by understanding this simple code of letters and numbers, which again, the CIA pays tribute to outside of their front door with the statue Cryptos. So to think that your federal government wouldn't be using this is, I don't know, it just defies all the evidence. And again, 13 straight years of evidence coming from yours truly. Been here every single day, just laying it down. We lay it down online. We lay it down on the streets of America. We call it out before it happens half the time. And here we are again. Again, we had this date circle at the beginning of the year for stuff just like this. So, all right, we got some people in the back. Shout out to Matt with the big 100. Appreciate that, Matt. By the way, all my Matt haters on Patreon, Matt's a super generous dude. Too generous. Matt, you've done it too many times. I appreciate it. You don't have to do it again, buddy. Take the teacher's advice. You'll have even more money in those pockets. But see, you guys, Matt must be doing just fine because he's always throwing around the big bills. All right, let's get Satori in here, FBA, Big Money, and whoever else wants to join. Again, there is a pinned comment for anybody who wants to join the stream. I'm going to go until my daughter wakes up. I think she's been sleeping for about 1 hour, and she normally, it's amazing. She has an eternal clock. She almost always wakes up right around the 2-hour mark. So we probably got an hour if we got callers and participants. What's up, Satori?
Hey, Zach. Not much. It's crazy how this happened. So, like, was he shot yesterday or whatever the news came out? Was it like yesterday?
It broke last night that this had happened. I don't think anybody was shot because it just seems like it's a total hoax. But the story is that he shot somebody and shot himself as well.
Okay. Because funny enough, like, I want to say I was watching a video of, like, you know who Sneeko is?
Yeah, another person promoted by the algorithm that just makes people dumber. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was him and academics, and they was like arguing over this guy literally a day before. And like one of the things academics was like harping on is like what happens if somebody uses violence on this guy? Is like, then what?
Yeah, you're talking about the paid for CIA agents on social media. That's why everyone knows their names, and they don't need to. Academics will sit online and talking about jerking off for 2 hours. Like anyone needs to listen to that. Brings nothing to the table. Validates every psyop, just like Sneeko does. Again, the reason you guys know these guys' names is because social media is controlled by the intelligence agencies. They promote these people. They're not making you smarter. They're making you dumber. And they obviously know that's right.
Yeah, I just wish
they've been bringing all this attention to CHUD the Builder because they had this big psyop plan that's all about the continual race war. Why do you think Sneeko is associating with Gary the Numbers Guy, a guy who used to have 0 following, which is right where it should be, who used to call into my weekly radio show and try to compete with me and get owned every week? Again, these are all the operatives out here. Why do you think Sneeko hasn't covered my work? You know what I mean? It's because they're the operatives. They're the intelligence agency. They're here to make you guys dumber.
So let me just ask you then, what percent of like anybody on YouTube you think is actually like a real person? as far as like,
well,
not
there's millions of YouTube channels that have zero following at all. Those are the real people. But all these big names out here are all of the cabal's little puppets. Every big name you know is a cabal puppet, point blank, period. Every last one of them.
Yeah. And now that it's like streaming is such a big thing, it's so easy to get some random dude off the street, put him in front of a camera and tell him what to do.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's just a nasty game out here. Shout out to the real one, Zach, man. Probably the only one left, man.
Well, and that's the thing too. All the other people like me, they just got tired because they got tired of getting censored and deleted. I just kept coming back, but you see what it is now. Now we don't even get any views. I mean, 25 channels deleted, and 2026 you can't even get any views. So, 200 people watching. The first time I ever live streamed, we had over 2,000 people watching on YouTube, and the work wasn't half as good. That's what they've done to this platform.
Well, since you've been started this, like your whole movement has like it's. Do you see any change? You think it gotten worse? I know
everything's getting worse. Of course, worse. Like, people are dumber than ever, and it's harder to get out the truth. And that's the thing. All these names have emerged that are just people that people watch. Sneeko, for example, academics, just watching bullshit YouTubers that make you dumber. And for everyone out there, like, no, Sneeko's the truth. No, he's not. He's sitting there blaming everything on Jews. He's not doing anything interesting. Jews hardly run shit. They might own the news networks. But guess what? The news networks don't decide what's in the news. They're the middle managers. The intelligence agencies, which are all run by Catholics and Jesuits, they control what information goes through those news channels. And that's why all the strings go back to them. All right. Anyway, appreciate it, Corey.
All right, man.
Take care. What's up, FBA?
What up? And yeah, just like you were saying, just piggyback. DARPA was a Facebook and MySpace before they were MySpace.
Exactly. DARPA's life log ends the same day that Facebook launches. And that's the thing, too. They like to put these Jews out there. So they're like, see, Jews are running Facebook. No, they're not. Military intelligence is running Facebook. And, you know, you look at the history of our military, it's very Catholic Jesuit.
Yeah. And then these kids are all off islands. Like, these are probably like literally like test tube babies, literally.
Are you talking about like this CHUD the Builder guy, or who?
Yeah, them academics, these pawns. It's pretty much what they are, bro. Because it's not going to be no regular person because they have a soul, you know. And another thing I keep forgetting about that you always bring up, they live. Did you also know it was a scientist back in was it the 20s or probably in the 40s? He made his own sunglasses. And he had that it was this chemical he mixed with, like, it was like from coal and some other stuff. You got to get approved from
the Hoffman lenses, and they live.
Yeah, but it's like they're real lenses though, in real, like, it happened. Those are real. It's based off of scientists that did it in real life. He gave it to the veterans in Vietnam, whatever, and they were shooting like spirits and stuff. And now it's like it's actually banned, and you have to get approved. Yeah, you literally have to get approved by like the CIA or some like government to get this type of chemical to make these glasses, like to see the different type of rays, like infrared rays and green rays and gamma rays.
I gotta look more. I didn't realize this. The guy who invented the Hoffman lenses also discovered LSD. I gotta look more into this. I didn't know about that. Huh.
Bro, because you always brought up They Live, and I never seen this movie, and I finally seen it, and I'm like, whoa, I see what you're talking about, and that's exactly what it is. And then I want to bring this other thing too.
The street preacher. The best part of that movie is the street preacher right at the beginning.
Man, and then and so this brings me to, because I've been watching Stargate too, but this brings me back to the 2000 when they went to Afghanistan to get the Stargate. The real reason why they went there. And so, you know, and remember in They Live when they would go travel to a different planet. I'm pretty sure that planet was Saturn or whatever, but you remember how I say all that to say, like, I think it's all right there. Like, it's in our face. Like, that's what it is, bro. It has to be these soulless, blood-sucking people. It has to be, bro. They've stolen the ancient knowledge or language, and they're stargating from this planet to that planet, and they're here, bro. They live among us, and that's what I've been trying to say, really, and I keep forgetting. I keep getting sidetracked to say that. But what do you think about that? You know, is that like it's all in our face?
Well, anything's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Because like, why would they? Because when they were saying in their experience, when they would look at certain people, people would have aura, right? Because we have aura, and it would be certain people walking amongst them that didn't have no aura. It was just dark. It was like nothing, you know. So, and then after
that also happens to people who are abused horribly as children.
okay.
By the way, you guys, just a reminder: if it's not aliens, Roddy Piper, he said They Live was a documentary. Now, if it was a documentary, it must be aliens. But remember, he put out that tweet on the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, which is also the day that Google celebrates his birthday. And then he died on the anniversary of the Jesuit founder dying at a premature age. Cable 54 is the enemy of the world in that movie. Of course, Jesuit order equals 54. Roddy Piper was born in 54. But yeah, if you've never seen They Live, you guys should watch that movie. The motto of the movie, They Live, We Sleep. It's got those familiar numbers. Check it out right here. They live, we sleep. 191, like Society of Jesus. And I'm sure you saw the 74 too. And the movie does seem like an analogy for this whole gematria thing, because once you put on the glasses, you see what's hidden behind the words that you couldn't see before. So,
facts. And then someone else in the video that you posted about CHUD this morning, they said CHUD was a movie acronym from the early 90s. I don't know if you saw it, but it was like cannibalism.
He's not that old. How could it be the early 90s?
No. It was a movie acronym named CHUD. It was like cannibalism something. Let me go to the. Or let me.
I'm looking it up. CHUD movie from the 1990s. Let's see. Because I never heard of anybody named CHUD.
Exactly.
Oh, you know what's interesting? It's a 1989 zombie comedy film. It's interesting because the lodge there in Clarksville is Lodge 89. So,
That was an interesting comment I saw in the video, and it was like cannibalism, something like that. And they're talking about the hantavirus could be they're talking about some virus. Yeah, there it goes.
Because look at this, Clarksville Masonic Lodge. It's Lodge 89 right here. Boom. Lodge 89 and CHUD is a movie from 89, another zombie flick.
It's just right in our face, man. They're sick, bro. It's because that's the only way that they're able to. And AI stands for either.
Look at the address of that lodge, by the way. 153. 153, you guys. Jesuit order 153.
Oh my God! See, that's the only way that they're able to do this. That they have to have ancient intelligence or alien.
It's not that hard to put the address at damn 153.
No, like how they match it up and just like from years and like centuries ago, and like how they just do it.
Well, imagine having the database that our government has. They got everybody's name, date of birth, everything. I mean, if I had a 300 million of people to choose from, and then I could go through a log of people in prison that could be my useful idiot pawns who do whatever I ask them to do to get some years shaved off. This wouldn't be that hard.
And thank you for saying data centers. And so these big old data centers, that's what Project Bluebeam is going to be about. So they already got the lasers in space. Now they're going to be able to do their 6G if they pull this mass data center stuff off. I don't know if you've been kind of seeing about have you been kind of keeping up with mass data centers and stuff?
Yeah, of course they got mass data centers. We were living in the surveillance state, man. They're putting more and more data and information in the cloud every day. They got everything on all of us.
In the same like the Looks Maxing guy, he's the puppet of Peter Thiel. He even said it. He slipped it out on accident on the stream, but he's a puppet by Peter Thiel. So it's like these are the people that are running these puppets.
Sure. Let me get a few more people in here. You can always call back, FBI. I just want to make sure everybody gets a shot.
Thank you, man.
All right. Have a go, man. All right. We got Big Money. Then we got Predict GTA 6. What's up, Big Money?
Hey, Zach, I can't hear you, but I just wanted to give a few things. I found it funny. Yesterday you did the story about Brandon Clark, the Memphis Grizzlies player, and now CHUD the Builder is in Clarksville, Tennessee. I found that pretty funny, how just back to back that happened. So yeah, no, I just wanted to mention that was pretty interesting. And then actually, what's funny when FBA was talking, he mentioned DARPA and Facebook. Today actually happens to be Mark Zuckerberg's birthday, so I don't know if he did it out of pure coincidence, but I just caught that as well. Unfortunately, I can't hear you say on the other end, but I just wanted to make the the Brandon Clark death and then Chud the Builder today in Clarksville, Tennessee. So it's amazing how that happened back to back. But that's all I had. Thanks again for letting me call in.
Yeah. Again, you guys, if you missed my work on Brandon Clark and Jason Collins being announced dead on the same day, Brandon Clark has the same birthday as him. If you missed my recent work on him, check that out. Again, that movie came out on the Catholic Day to remember the patron saint of blood. If you haven't seen him, it's all about injecting other people's blood and blood sacrifices to be in the league, and people being born and chosen to be in the league from a young age and having to sacrifice their fathers to be there. All things I've been talking about for years. But yeah, Brandon Clark and Jason Collins, there's a lot to it. But notice they announced Brandon Clark's death on the day leaving 233 days left in the year. And he went to Jesuit Gonzaga. Notice I should have put it up there. Gonzaga University is also 233, just like Brandon Clark, announced dead on the day leaving 233 days left in the year. And just to go back in time, John Stockton, you know, short shorts from the Utah Jazz, those shorty shorts, him and John Havlicek. I just wanted to see, I want to remind you about the ritual they did with John Stockton getting banned from Gonzaga basketball games for not wearing his mask on Georgetown's 233rd birthday, the first Jesuit University, Georgetown. George Washington. Washington State has 2 Jesuit universities, Seattle U and Gonzaga. But yeah, on Georgetown's 233rd birthday, John Stockton of Gonzaga University got banned from going to their games because he wouldn't wear a mask during the time of Cooties 19, which is an entire Jesuit operation, as I wrote a book about and covered day after day. But yeah, again, you guys, you learn this knowledge, you just see through what's going on in the world. Jason Collins also dead that day. You know, the first openly homosexual NBA player, dead at 47. But yeah, dead 181 days after the Superior General's birthday. Again, all things being lined up with the Superior General day after day, all of these rituals. We got Predict GTA 6, and then we got Mirror Man. And our Predict GTA 6, you got to unmute. Mirror Man, you got to connect a microphone. If you don't connect a microphone, I can't connect you. You don't have to connect your camera, but you got to connect a mic. Otherwise, it doesn't let me pull you up. I'm going to drop the link one more time. We got GAD, a.k.a. The Voice. What's up, GAD?
What's good, Zach? Can you hear me pretty well?
Sounds good today.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I do find it interesting with this Chuck Builder psyop bullshit. Because you know the person that just called in to I think the second person the one before that the one that I came in I did find it ironic that CHUD, there's a movie CHUD, which is an acronym, and I did watch that movie and it was about them putting, like, governments putting nuclear waste into the sewers where it started to mutate.
Wait a minute, hold up. The zombie movie?
Well, well, it's not technically zombies. It was more of a. Well, is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. Are you talking about this Bud the Chud, the 1989 movie?
No, it was a. So basically, what that movie was, it was a movie that was home video movie. It was a rent direct home video type movie, if that makes sense. Yeah, CHUD, yeah. So I think that's what the CHUD is that? No, because it had who was the dude from Home Improvement? Or the
Tim
dude that
Allen?
played the dude that played Flintstone. He was actually in that movie.
I
Okay.
forget.
Okay, so that movie with that same acronym was about them, like I think it was the government putting toxic nuclear waste into the sewers, and the people that were like homeless that were living in the sewers started to mutate into these creatures that started eating people. That's what that movie was about. But I did find it ironic, like that CHUD movie, because that's I don't know if the CHUD the Builder but the CHUD is the same thing, which I don't think it is. But I find that movie ironic to have the same acronym with this character that's going around this this obvious CIA operative going around doing the shit he's doing right now.
Isn't it sick that this is what our government does? It's just like, it's so pathetic and sick. And this, I mean, you guys, this needs to be called out and stopped. The world needs to learn what's going on, and this stuff just needs to be put to an. This is what our tax money's being spent on.
Right. Yeah. No. And yeah. No. I mean, and here's the thing about it too. You know, not to say that I wasn't aware of this character, this actor, so to speak. But it's just funny how now this is what is getting the attention instead of people who are actually putting out pertinent information about anything, right? But
Exactly.
especially this type of information that's being put out right now. It is very ironic that it's planet right now while this is being promoted. So
That's the point I made earlier. I said, I bet you in the world, for every person that knows my name, I bet you there's at least 1,000 people that now know the name Chud the Builder. Like they even need to know about Chud the Builder. I mean,
right, no,
imagine 1,000 times more people knew about what we're teaching over here. It's not about knowing my name; it's about knowing the information. For every person who knows about Gematria, at least 1,000 people now know the name Chud the Builder, and that's not the way it needs to be, because Chud the Builder just makes us all dumber.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is promoted to the lowest common denominator, and you. And it's funny because you have the lowest common denominator type individuals that are sitting up here praising this cocksucker for what he's doing, right? Going around antagonizing people. But whenever you see shit like that, you should already automatically know that these dudes are paid informants doing shit like this, man. Or paid
Right.
agents doing shit like this. You know, so
And just all the red. I mean, I scanned through a bunch of videos today. People talking about it. Nobody brings up the obvious. Like, what are the odds it would end like this in front of a courthouse? And how come it's not on camera when he has all this instigating on
hey,
camera, but this isn't on camera in front of a courthouse?
hey, that's the funniest shit. So yeah, how do you do this in front of a courthouse? Like you said, right? Because I was looking at that earlier this morning
That's
as
how you
well,
can tell it's
right?
a government operation. It's so
It's
obvious.
bro, it's the same shit. Like, okay, I'm gonna bring up the Trayvon Martin thing, right? How the fuck do we know that even really happened with him and
Exactly.
George
With
Zimmerman?
his dad, and remember, guys, Trayvon Martin's dad was always wearing his
Yeah,
Masonic pin. He always had his Masonic pin on.
yeah. And you know what's funny too with that? That the supposed brother of that dude, man, changed up the story like 2 or 3 times in the last 15 years. So it's like, man, none of this shit, man. You know, these are fucking actors on the world stage, man, on everything.
Can you see the screen? Is this what you're talking about? CHUD movie
Yeah,
with Home Alone actor John Hearn?
yes, that's the movie. And I
I
think
need to look
someone,
that up because John Hearn also portrayed Donald Trump, another racist, and he died right after Trump took office back in 2017.
oh, he died in 2017.
Yeah, John Hearn died in 2017.
Wow,
Unless this is a different, he wrote John Heard. Maybe John Heard's not the same as John Hearn, but I thought he meant to write John Hearn.
John. Okay,
Let me
yeah,
see. Maybe John Heard's different. Oh no,
because
I'm tripping. It is John Heard is his name. I had his name, but yeah, John Heard died in 2017. Remember we were talking about this, how both of Kevin's parents died at 71 from Home Alone. John Heard, it's Heard. God, I thought it was Hearn for some reason, but yeah, he actually died on my birthday. Go figure. The anniversary of the Jesuit suppression beginning. All right, this is getting more interesting. It's getting more
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, that's interesting. But see, you know, it's funny how there's always parallels between these names and in these characters. I mean, but then you'll have things from like way back from the 80s. And mind you, you know, that Chud movie from like back in the day, there was, if you notice in this, and I wanted to talk about that Bigfoot thing because that shit is not as far fetched as people thinking. It's just based off of what people have told me with being out in the woods. So I just wanted to just touch on this real briefly. There was a lot of those type of movies that were going on where they had like sewers, like creatures in the sewers being mutated and shit. Um, and I've actually heard stories like in New York and Chicago that shit is actually going on where there's actual waste that's going in and it's causing certain abnormalities, if you will, to happen under the sewer where there's, you know, I don't know. They talk about reptiles and fucking reptilian men or something like that, but there's shit like that going on. Not to
Or maybe
go too.
Ninja Turtles was actually halfway true.
Yeah, no. Well, you know what's funny about that? Yeah, and you know what's funny about this? This Chud movie has some parallels. There's also a movie called Alligator from back in the day. I don't know if you've probably seen that movie, Alligator, where there was a mutant alligator that was flushed down in the toilet. It was also in the 80s where it started to mutate through growth hormones, and it mutated into, catch this number, 36 feet in the movie. 36 feet. Okay. So yeah, no, so I mean there's different parallels to that. So it's just, so who knows, this character, Chud the Bill, whatever his fucking name is, who the fuck knows his background, you know.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look more into this movie. Again, it's jokes upon jokes when the Cabal does their thing. So it could be another parallel. Interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, man, there's been a couple of people that's been dropping dead in the world of entertainment lately. Of course, you had the basketball player at 27 fucking years old just dropped dead.
Well, technically he was 29, but yeah, him
Oh,
in the
29.
same day. Him and Jason Collins announced dead on the same day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Jason Collins, 47 years old. 40, and we had the 47
And
president.
remember, Trump equals 47 and 29. There's probably something to that. I need to look more into that. There's probably a Trump angle. So.
Oh, really? And also, so Trump
Remember Trump?
equals 20,
Everything about
27?
Trump. The Pope dies at 88, sync with Trump. 25. He retakes office in 2025. He's supposed to leave in 2029. He's number 47 now. Mar-a-Lago right on 88. He put up 88-foot flagpole, 88 feet tall flagpoles at the White House, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, Trump's numbers correspond with this term, 25 to 29.
Wow. I knew the 47 one. I didn't know the 29 one. And then of course you have these two parallels out of nowhere. I mean, two people die that young, like nobody questions that shit.
Jason Collins played in New Jersey for a long time too, Trump Town. So.
Oh yeah, his whole career, yeah.
No, he played all over, but he was in New Jersey for a minute.
Oh yeah. New Jersey Nets. I remember.
Yeah.
There was somebody else that died. I think just died recently today. I forget the name.
Here, you can always go to the Wikipedia thing. They keep track of all the celebrity deaths day by day. Yesterday on the kill date, some young people got it. So.
Yeah, what's up with all these people that are in their 20s and 30s dropping dead, bro? Like,
yeah, no kidding.
And people don't question that shit. Like people are just dropping dead, strokes. Shit was unheard of 20 years ago. Now it's just very prevalent.
Yeah. All these years of all these donations for cancer research, and the only thing that's changed with cancer is people die at younger and younger ages from cancer. So nobody's asking any questions. They're just marching along like everything's cool.
Right. Yeah.
When you guys say the celebrities aren't dying, they're just assuming new rules. You think it's easy for a Jason Collins who's 7 feet tall to just show up as a new person and not draw any attention? All you guys go around just like regurgitating that crap. I mean, it could be true in some circumstances, but I think they are doing a lot of blood sacrifice, you guys. I don't think everyone's faking their death every single time.
No, I mean, it's like this. Not every single individual that's faking their death. Like, it's pretty obvious that Charlie Kirk, actor.
Yeah, now that was fake. That was fake.
That was straight up Hollywood set. But
Kobe Bryant, fake, unmarked grave, please.
Yeah, that was the fun. That to me, that was one that was very interesting. Him and his daughter. But see, here's the thing though. Like whenever they said these things happen, and then you see the scene. The scene don't even fucking look like anything happened. So it's like, of course, like once again, they need to have blood the ritual to feed the beast, right? To this is how through the mystery school system that they operate.
You saw the movie Weapons, didn't you? You see that movie, Weapons?
Oh yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that.
Again, it came out right before that Minneapolis Catholic school shooting, and the number they encoded in the movie for the school shooting is exactly what shows up in the shooting days later. But I think there's an element of truth to that. I think they are doing some kind of weird blood sorcery magic, and I used to not think those things were possible. But the more I look at the world, the more I feel like everyone, for the most part, is under some kind of spell, and that's why they just go along with all the bullshit day after day.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, no, a lot of like that movie Weapons is nothing but a documentary because it's like shit. Why? Look, if we understand that the MK Ultra and of course child assassins have been created going back, hell, you can go back to going back to the time of the ancient times, antiquity. They certain forms of mind control, and probably the sorcery was probably at a higher level than it is today. But point being with weapons is that yeah, I mean it wouldn't be if you notice in the film the person that was looking for all the kids, he was the only one that stood up in that whole scene, the sea of people whose children are missing, who was asking questions to everyone else was like, wasn't even, pretty much was honestly they were all in on it if you really break down that movie. So the psyop could be very, very like it could be a lot of people in on it in one town, understanding what the operation is, and then that's the scariest part about it, you know.
Oh, what's crazy is my post is not coming up on the Weapons movie. If for anyone who hasn't seen that movie, I would take the time to watch it because it is very interesting. Here we go.
Yeah, yeah, weapons and him. Those are the two. I think those are the two of the most. I would say those two in that recent movie with what's it called? The one where it was the AI that's judging people based off of what possibly could happen, kind of on the Minority Report. Those are three of the most Luciferian movies. They're pretty much telling you how things go down, you know.
Indeed, there are a lot of things in Hollywood letting us know how it really is. So, yeah, for anyone who has not seen Weapons, I'd take the time to watch that movie. I better let a few more people in here because I realize my daughter's probably going to wake up any minute, GAD.
But yeah,
But it's
no
always good to
problem.
hear from you, man. Thank you.
No problem with that.
All right, take care. All right, we got Gematria32, Xavier N201. What's up, Gematria32? Gematria32? Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
There we go.
Yeah. So real quick, in the MLB, how many teams would have the gematria of 24?
Off the top, I woke up at 2:30 this morning. I don't know. Help me out.
One only comes to my mind, the Mets.
Okay. That's the only one I can think of off the top too, but okay.
So, like, what's the coincidence the Tigers pick up the 24th loss against the right team, the Mets?
Sure. Yeah, day after day, these examples, right?
Yeah, and then this is I'm thinking really hard, and like I know the gematria of the Rays. I know the Marlins. I know all the teams in my mind, like pretty much all the ones that we use, like, and only Mets come to my mind that equal 24.
Yeah, I think that is correct.
Yeah, so you have to tell me, you have to be really fucking stupid to not see that, they finger fuck the schedule every league. Every
Right.
league. Like this is like there's no coincidence, it's not magic, it's just dumb finger fucking the schedule. You heard? This happens every day in sports. So I don't understand how people are still walking around, going to these games, like, or just participating in
Or
elections,
falling for any of the news stories, or falling for any of the rigged selections. I mean, the information age and stuff should be out of the bag. Everybody should be talking about this. Instead, they're talking about nothing.
Yeah, so the people around me, I make them pay. Like whoever, like people know around me, but I make them pay for their stupidity. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be stupid around me at all, because I like I can't deal with that shit, Zach, for real. Not in 2026.
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it.
Because I mean, because like if you're making wrong decisions, that's gonna like reflect on me or rub off on me. So I can't. You gotta keep that shit away, like way. You know, I can't do none of that shit. But I just wanted to tell you that like simple math people can't catch, and it's like that's if you want to narrow it down to what's wrong in this world, it's because people can't add or read. Period.
Yeah. Or think. No, almost no critical thinking skills. They just
Well,
mostly need to be told what to do. They're good slaves. They
well,
went to 13 years of slave school. They got their slave indoctrination.
well, a lot of people are psychologically underdeveloped, and that has to do with linguistics, not learning, the language properly as young, or so because I think letters that things like that form your mind,
Yeah.
So if it's not nurtured at young or misguided young, it could be a problem. So it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. Bro, like I said, Patreon. Whoever's on this channel and is not on the Patreon, you're doing a disservice to yourself
And the movement.
as well. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say, Zach. I know you got things to do.
All right, man.
Appreciate the work. Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Yeah, Rig Sports, Rig News, you guys. This knowledge, it'll shine the light on it day after day. What's up, N201?
Yeah, when I heard this CHUD the Builder news, it made me think immediately of the former NFL coach, Rob Chudzinski. His nickname is Chud. He currently works for Boston College.
Oh, he works at the Jesuit school?
Yeah, and he went to a Jesuit high school. And if you look up when Chudzinski's last win as a head coach was, it was on the 307th day of the year, the 63rd prime. Like racism is a big 63.
Okay.
And
it's weird. His birthday is May 12th. It's one day before this thing went down.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. One day after his birthday, this happened. And
he's born in 68, like Chud the Builder equals 68. That's pretty weird. I mean, it's hard to imagine how that's connected, but yeah, Jesuits educated in Toledo. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they end up. Sometimes these things become more clear as time goes on, but yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, I think as time goes on, this will become more clear because we're at the time of the NFL schedule release.
Right.
And of course, this happened in Tennessee, and Tennessee's birthday is the first day of the 6th month.
Right, the 16th state. Yeah, the 16th state with the 1/6 birthday, right?
And Cleveland Browns is 61. So,
okay,
I think we could be seeing something like in regards because Deshaun Watson's on the Browns still. We might be seeing something connected to this in the coming months. But yeah, I just wanted to get that in. So, peace.
All right, appreciate it. All right, my daughter, if it's business as usual, is going to wake up pretty soon. I know we're pretty close to 2 hours of nap time right now. So if you want to get in, I dropped the link. I got to wrap it up when she wakes up. So yeah, if anybody else has anything to add, it's sad that more people just rather have a conversation about, and that's, I guess that's the thing. We do go to 13 years of slave school, pledging to 13 stripes, learning how to be useful idiots and pay our taxes and have really no financial knowledge and get taken advantage of in a world that's all about finance. Again, if you haven't noticed, the school system, it does make you a useful idiot. And again, in the school system, you learn to, be a citizen and talk about things within the way they're introduced to you through the authorities. And what we do over here is we show how all of this system really is a bunch of orchestrated bullshit to control our mind and our emotions and what we do and our decision making. And again, make us essentially servants of a cabal. Look at what happened in 2020 when they really cracked the whip. There's a pandemic, don't you know? It's called the corona. And think about all the fear mongering, making it way scarier than it was. But never once did they tell you the truth that corona was coined as seasonal flu in 1968. And of course, I told you that a bunch of times and got my channel deleted over and over. I'd get medical misinformation. It's like, okay, it's not misinformation. Anyone can look up that it was coined as seasonal flu in 1968. Yeah, it might be a more severe strain of the flu, but it was coined as seasonal flu. And again, on the nightly news, they were telling you, flu cases way down, corona cases way up, because it was the flu. Anyway, we're here showing how there's this number code to everything, Kabbalah. We're talking about things that people just don't know how to talk about. It's outside of their lexicon. It's outside of their slave school programming. They're used to being like, just like all the other conversations, you go, come on, man, going around calling black people the N-word in a country that had slavery. You don't understand how you're touching on sensitive subjects. Of course you do. Of course, that's why this is sick and disgusting, and that's why they do it. But that's the way people know how to talk about things. We need to learn how to talk about things from how we're being manipulated and messed with. And this knowledge needs to become secondhand to everybody. Or not secondhand. This knowledge needs to be firsthand to everybody so that everyone understands the letter and number thing and the Kabbalistic practices of the people that rule over us. You'll see through every rig selection. You'll see through every rig sports game. You'll see through every rig news story. And this goes on day after day after day. If it weren't true, I wouldn't be able to generate new content every single day about how we're being lied to and mocked with the latest propaganda. It's that simple. These things wouldn't line up the way they do unless they were being contrived the way they are. And again, it really is the same repetitive patterns. Or was I not talking yesterday about how Trump and Trump went to China to talk about the war 74 days after the war began, 33 days before Xi Jinping's birthday? Yesterday I was talking about how they always pair 74 and 33 together. And lo and behold, this ritual was going on at the same time, right? With CHUD, whose name is Dalton Etherly in Clarksville, 74, on the 33rd anniversary, anniversary or 33rd birthday of Morgan Wallen, who got canceled for using the N-word in Nashville on the 33rd day of the year. So it's another 3374 Masonic ritual with all the same CIA government fingerprints all over it. And again, he went super viral for his tweet less than a week ago, talking about how he's going to kill somebody. Everybody and their mother was talking about it on social media. Again, they did that May 7th, the 127th day of the year. Learn Gematria. Scottish Rite 57, like May 7th, 57, 127th day of the year. The highest degree of the Scottish Rite, 33. And boom, where's the shooting happens? Or the supposed shooting, which there's no evidence of, at the Clarksville Courthouse, which equals 127 and also 269, the 57th prime, but also known as the Montgomery County Courthouse, which is also 127, which again is the 31st prime. And how many times have you seen me talk about numbers in a story and then more details come out about the story, and then the exact numbers we're talking about are there? Just like this morning. They hadn't told us this morning that the victim was a 31-year-old, but I was talking about how it was 31 days after the anniversary of the American Civil War beginning, and then boom, you get a 31-year-old victim. It's the same stuff day after day. So, what's up, Justin?
Oh, hey. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wanted to talk about before I, even go on. Would you be down to talk about pretty much like what I talked about yesterday?
Go and tell my daughter's going to wake up soon, but yeah, go ahead. And thank you, T-Bets, for becoming a member. What's up, man? Tell me, Justin.
For sure. But yeah, we're talking about like if people like the world stage actors had a choice, whether or not to go along with it. But I think the movie Him really like sheds light into that topic, just because like the whole plot of the movie was like centered around this, cabal that controls this guy's life. They even controlled the death of his father in order to have him go on the path that he went on. So,
right.
So like I would say that he wouldn't have a choice because, it's like, and that's just because, I don't know how they planned it exactly. Like if they made the calendar the way they did to line up with people's birthdays, or it's like, the other way around, or they're able to control who gets born when. But I think that they pretty much like they pave the road for you to walk. So it's like it's an illusion of a choice. It's not an actual free will choice. And like I think about things like, what gets shouted out in the echo chamber, like in religion. I grew up religious. But it's like, one of the main things is like, oh, God gives you free will. God gives you free will to do this and to do that. But it's like, it brings like a question, and like scarier question is like, if they're able to do that with these people's lives, like who's to say that that doesn't happen to everybody's lives, like in some sort of fashion. But yeah, I just want to see your take on that.
Well, I'd say you still always have a choice. I think the reality though is a lot of times the choice is, if you don't go along with what they say, you end up in the obituaries, and for reasons I think most of us can understand, people end up doing things they'd probably rather not do, becoming the servants of the cabal because they don't want to be in the obituaries. But still, there's still a choice, and that's why, to me, it's on humanity to change the game. Again, if everybody understood this knowledge, the game's over. Nobody's falling for the propaganda. Nobody's falling for the rigged elections. Nobody's going to the rigged sports games that are totally rigged, meant to manipulate your energy, and people are getting sacrificed for, like they finally made a Hollywood movie about, which we've been educating about this since way before him came out. I made the point about how way too many of these players lose their parents at way too young of an age. Again, you guys, it was about 5 years ago, the NBA draft. Everybody who got drafted in the first round, almost everybody got either 1 or 2 medallions to hang around their neck, and it was for their dead parents. And I was like, is anybody watching this? So everybody who's going into the league has a dead parent, at least 1 dead parent. A lot of them have 2 dead parents, and the league is giving them this medallion to put around their neck to remember their parents. It's like, is anybody watching this right now? These guys are 18, 19, 20 years old. Most people don't have a dead parent when they're 18, 19, 20. Almost the whole draft class lost their parents. Nobody's watching this right now. This is what's wrong. That's why there has to be some kind of sorcery going on, because everybody should be like, what the hell is this? So, yeah, again, I would say we do have a choice.
Right. But I mean, like, this one thing that kind of stands out for me, like, in the movie Him, I feel like he really thought that he was, because I feel like that thing that one Jesuit said, like, if you give me the till 7 or whatever, I think like from that specific age range, it's like you grow up in this body, and like that's how your ego gets built, like the layers of you that make what flavor ice cream you like, or whether you like, men or women, you know what I mean? Like, just like the thing that makes you, I guess. But like, if they're able to manipulate that, I feel like it's hard to say that you could make a choice. Cause like, if you were the cabal, I feel like you wouldn't use these people, like you wouldn't bring them into the fold. Like you would pretty much just, almost like, like have them think that they made their own choice, going along. Like, for example, like I went to school with Brock Purdy. I actually played baseball with him. And in freshman year, everybody knew he was going to the league, like everybody, like as a freshman. And it's like, just like seeing like his life, like he grew up like in, regular, life.
Keep talking. I got to get my daughter. She's waking up, but keep going. I'll
be right good. Back. Yeah. But it's like everybody knew he was going to the league at a very, very young age. So it's like, I don't really think, especially watching the movie Him, like I don't think that, it's like he was involved in some weird cabal thing, but it's like, I think, they either center the calendar to line up with these people's days or whatever, or they're able to, like control how when their birth or whatever. But yeah, it's like, I think they pretty much pave the road in front of you, where it's like you think you're making an autonomous choice, but you're really not. You don't really have control over it. It's like, and it's like, it's like in the movie Him, like explains it so well, because like he's just a guy playing football. It's like that's all he knew. That's like how he was built, like from a young age. His dad died, and like all those layers of ego are getting like put around that kid. So like he grows up, and he only has one choice really. You know, it's like he only has one choice, especially when the people who are in control are like, they're pretty much like opening all the doors that need to be open. It's like, all right, you're gonna go down this route now. Obviously not. They're not, like, doing it like right in his face, right? But it's like they're giving that illusion of choice. But yeah.
All right, Justin. Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to let one more person get in, and then I got to take care of Sweet Girl now that she's up from the nap. But thanks for the thoughts.
For sure. Thank you.
Take care. All right, we got Sirius, and then I got to call it a day. What's up, Sirius?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I can.
Cool, right on. So I just had a question from you from the last time that we spoke. I was wondering, do you think there's actually a way out of this situation or out of this system? Yeah, I don't know. From my perspective, it kind of seems like we're in a captive environment, like a prison, so to speak. I don't know if you think or feel the same way, but I was just wondering, do you think there's a way out? And I'm not talking about like unsubscribing. I'm not trolling you or anything like that, but just more of a philosophical question.
Sure. I do think there's a way out, and I think it's a massive revolution against the system that is in place that controls us this way with the nonstop propaganda by the Kabbalistic code. Of course, that does bring up the question, well, okay, if this system's destroyed, what system replaces it? Are we sure it would be better, or could something even worse fill in its place? Because I think that's part. I think that's why. Again, you guys, if people don't think the Illuminati is real, you're wrong. This is the Illuminati. The Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, and one of his immediate plans was to infiltrate modern Freemasonry. And look at this. I mean, the Jesuit Masonic Alliance. It's pretty obvious it's the Illuminati. But look at what they've done. I mean, they've created a system where people are comfortable. Even I would wager that even 90% of my community is still halfway, at least, comfortable. They still have warm running showers. They got convenience of food. So that's part of why people, because I mean, it's like, listen, when I go out on the streets of America and ask people to come out, what percentage of the community comes out? I mean, I was in New York City. We didn't even have 100 people from the community come out. I sold more books to New York City than I had people come out the week I was out there. So that tells me that people are just too comfortable, even still. It's a major uphill battle, but I do think the system could be defeated. And I've always said, and I hate to say it again, but I think people, when people are finally ready to revolt, it's going to be too late. That's sadly what I think is going to happen.
No, I understand. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely with you on that in terms of waking people up, and that's ultimately the answer. But at the same time, I think that most people probably don't want to wake up. They want to remain asleep and
It's
not.
easier. It's easier.
Yeah, and it's more comfortable actually to do so. And I often think, like, is humanity actually from this place? This kind of, I wanted your opinion. I know your daughter is awake, although she looks like she's dozing a little bit, but she's definitely more important. But yeah, I wanted to know, you had mentioned something about, we had kind of talked about the cooties, as you call it, or cooties, and about the psyop behind flat Earth. And I wanted to say that I do agree with you that there is a psyop to that, but I also think that there could be some truth to that as well. And my first question about a way out.
Truman Show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And maybe that's the psyop, right? Maybe that's the psyop, but I don't know. I don't actually know. But maybe there is a way out, or maybe that's just another metaphor. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? From your point of view, and also from a gematria perspective. This is something that I'm learning about. So I'm listening to all your callers, and they seem very knowledgeable in terms of how the numbers work and how things connect. So I'm having to play catch up.
I'll remind people that Truman was the 33rd president and a major Mason, and the CIA was created under his watch, which pretty much put in place the surveillance state, which is what the movie The Truman Show is about. I used to have a video, but my channel's been deleted 25 times. I used to have an old video really breaking down the Truman Show. And of course, the first clue in that's the light Sirius falls, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you asked some good questions. I'm gonna have to. Call me back and ask me this stuff again. We can do a whole
Sure.
stream on this topic because I'm gonna wrap this up pretty soon, and it's a deep question. But honestly, I mean, to boil it down, I really think the only way we can break the system is by breaking this Jesuit Masonic alliance that no doubt rules over us. But again, how many people really want to do that? Because people are afraid of the unknown, and it is a legit concern. Uh, it- you know, if you've ever seen that guy CTE, as I call him, sometimes he'll argue. He's like,
CTE.
listen, man, this Illuminati has made life super convenient for us. And yeah, it's not perfect, but look how good it is. We got hot water and showers and food everywhere. Now, that's not true for everybody. I mean, what we benefit from here in the United States comes from the blood and murder of people overseas, no doubt about it. So,
Mhm.
and I always think people should think about that because if you realize that's what's going on and you're okay with that, that makes you part of an evil system. Um,
For sure. For
yeah,
sure.
I just
For
think, man,
sure.
I think it's revolution or bust, and yeah, we have to face the unknown. And if we did destroy the system in place, we'd have to say, listen, we cannot succumb to what happened here. I think we need to get over authority too, and we need to become more self reliant. I want to
Indeed.
do a lot of things I don't think most people are willing to do. I'd like to go back more in time to a more reasonable time when people, they worked agriculture. They knew where their food came from. It came from their neighbors. I think back then people had more community and lived healthier and probably more fulfilling lives than we do now, where a lot of us are just, sitting in front of screens all day and hardly have a family and hardly know their neighbors. But yeah, let's do that. Let's do another show about
For
this
sure. For
larger
sure. It's
topic
a, it's
some
a
other
deep
time.
question. So, okay. Well, thank you very, very much. I will get your book for sure. And yeah, because I want to learn more. And yeah, yeah. Until next time, I'll be sure to call back. It's very late here, so you
All right, serious.
know.
And yeah, I can be mean to flat earthers, but I'm glad that you're a flat earther because you remind me to be nicer. I like you. So thank you,
All
serious.
right. Right on, right on, right. Well, it's something that I think, and I'll just leave you with this. Right now in the contemporary state of mind, it's easier for us to believe that we can go way up into the sky until we find land than for there to be extra land right here. It's more of a philosophical kind of perspective or an outlook, but just think about that for a second. Like, it's easier for most people if you ask them, is there more land? Yes, we can go way up in the sky. What goes up must come down. But right here, it's like, no, that's impossible. It's impossible for there to be more land here. Although it's extraterrestrial, it's extra land. Anyway, my apologies. I will jump off of here, and perhaps we can chat about that again. And I would love to hear from the Gematria perspective on that as well, if you have something, or just your thoughts in general. So
We'll do it, serious. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
cool. Right on. Take it easy.
Yeah, take care.
Bye bye.
All right, and we got Brandon, and let me make the screen equal here so I'm not towering over Brandon. What's up, Brandon?
What's up, man? Appreciate
Uh-oh.
you having me on, man. As I'm smoking a cancer stick that I shouldn't be. Is it my audio bad?
It was choppy at first, but now I hear you just fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I kind of jumped on. I didn't get to really listen to the whole live as far as what you guys were talking about. I'm just kind of going off of what the nameplate says or whatever, or the title that you have. So I don't know where I'm jumping in at all the way, but I do want to come from a different perspective because I know that you know the term we're using right now is psyop, right? And psyops are used to control and make people think a certain way or go a certain way, and so on and so forth, right? But the problem, I think, what happens is sometimes, and I'm gonna be honest, I think this is where probably some of the divide comes and whether people support or not, is because what happens is when these situations like Chubb the Builder happen, right? We automatically just resort to a psyop and that it's the government trying to make us divide and all of that stuff. But if we're going to be honest, the nation is already divided. Chud the Builder would not be able to exist if there weren't people that supported him, right? So in order for a psyop to work, the actual issue has to be there. So two things can be true. Like, he can be used to ignite the fire, but the fire's already there. There's people that already feel that way without these people they put in front of us to extend, the narrative. You know what I mean? And when people see these situations and the truth of community, quote unquote, just automatically just regulates it to a psyop. It almost like it just disregards the fact that these shitty people exist and there are more of them than we think. And what Trump being in office has done has made it comfortable for these people to come out and do the shit that they do, right? But if, as a black man, I know this is what's really going on, and then when the truth comes, or when people talk about it, they only make it a psyop. It's like, I don't want to hear that shit from that person. How can you just ignore the fact that these motherfuckers are out here and act like it's the government doing this? Well, no, it's the people. It's the people. You know what I mean? It's us.
Well, Brandon,
And
let me chime in. Let me chime in, Brandon. I agree with what you're saying, but part of the reason so much of white America doesn't like black people is because of the ongoing psychological operations in the media, programming them to think that black people are bad people, dangerous
right,
people. That the media's it kind of went away. It seemed like at the end of the 90s, early 2000s, but then when they put Obama in, they made it all about race again, and Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown and all these stories. And you think about a person like Chud the Builder, he would have been about 10 years old when Obama took office. So he would have grown up in this era with all this focus again on race, like it would have been, decades ago. So that's what I'm saying. These are ongoing psychological operations that are based on history and do add fuel to a fire that's always there. It's like they don't want it to go out. They want people to keep
right.
warring and be divided over things they don't need to be divided over. And
Yeah,
so from my perspective, I used to be the only white kid in the neighborhood. I grew up around people that look like you. And that's why I knew as a person, I was like, what they're saying on TV about black people is not what I know from my own experience. And
right.
I also did move to a whiter neighborhood in the middle of my childhood. And I realized that, you know what? Now that I live around white people, I realized my old neighborhood, everyone was way friendlier. So again, it is psychological operations, but what you're also saying is true. That's the point I'm making.
Right, right. And I agree with you because I've seen the dynamic too. I was born and raised in Long Beach, California, around, Mexicans, Cambodians, Samoans, Tongans, all of that stuff. And then in high school, I moved to Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona. I went to Highland High School. You know what I
I
mean?
went to
At that
Arizona
time,
State, so I'm familiar with Gilbert.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I went to Highland High School. At the time I was going there in '98, that's when Sammy the Bull was there. That's when they had this gang called the Devil Dogs. They were running ecstasy and all of this stuff. It was a big racist, like it was a lot of racial tension going on at that time. Damn near right down the street from where I lived, going to that school. So I see the different dynamics of being around in the ghetto and being in the suburbs. Like Dave Chappelle said, like my family made just enough money to live poor around white folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I get into this area, I see a whole different dynamic, but it also educated me on white folks. Like, I understand that not the majority of white folks all feel like this, but there is an element that still kind of lingers and remains, whether it's their family or what they see on TV, so on and so forth, that feeds this. But to your point of the whole Obama thing, like they tried to put Obama there like we were in a post-racial society, but everybody else knew we were not in a post-racial society. It's almost like they put him up, and really putting him up kind of again ignited what was already there, and then made people start feeling like, hey, this is crap. But we were never in a post-racial society. We were never in America where there was a time where race didn't matter, race didn't exist, racism still wasn't, prevalent. You know what I mean? So that was the side out there making us feel like, oh, Obama's in office now. Now we're good. No, we're not. More people got killed as far as black people, as far as wrongful deaths, as far as police murderings. The most of that shit happened when Obama was in office. It was almost like, yeah, we're gonna give you a Negro president, but now we're gonna start killing y'all. It was almost like a sort of a punishment for what they gave us. You know what I mean? So in black people's minds, like we never were even post-racial. Even when Obama got in office, for most black people like me, we didn't see Obama as a president for us. Obama wasn't our president. Obama turned around. We were like, we're going to get Obama in office. He's going to do all these things for black people. Obama got in office and did what his biggest donors wanted him to do, which was support the LGBTQ, right? And then he got in there and he passed all these laws for the LGBTQ. It was another form of black people. We're going to put a Negro in office, make you feel like you're empowered, but even that Negro is still controlled by us. He's still one of our puppets. In fact, all the black people they put in positions like that are their puppets. The Clarence Thomases, the Kamala Harrises, the Dr. Ben Carsons, all the people that if they were along with our culture, black people really would put up there, because these are successful, prominent figures, but they're just puppets. They're just people that are extenuating or are extending this BS narrative that America stands for, which is a government built on racism. Like, it's never changed. They just changed their colors, you know?
That's
Their
the point I was making in the video at the beginning of how just the history of white supremacy. And I was making the point that here we are 4 years to the day of the Buffalo Top shooting by a white supremacist in a black neighborhood, and it's Israel's birthday. And say what you will about Hebrew Israelites, but the one thing they're right about is identities have been stolen. And again, it's just like we see Jesus, the images all over this country of a white Jesus. That's not his physical description in the Bible.
Right.
So I was making
Right.
the point about this number code and how everything that's in. Watch the video from the beginning, because yeah, everything you're saying I agree with. But these are psychological operations too, and it's meant to keep
Yeah.
people in these racist divides.
I agree. I think two things can be true. They are psyops, and they are just perpetuating what already exists. I'm just saying, from just a black person's point of view who may listen to you, and other people that are truthers, when they talk about this, when they automatically say it's a psyop, it turns people off. You know what I mean? And but yeah, I do agree. I just want people to be able to understand two things can be true. It can be a psyop, and yes, this shit still exists because we still have an issue in America. And then maybe then we can start building the bridge between why that divide is happening. You know what I mean? Because now your truth,
Right.
as far as exposing the Jesuits and the Gematria, that's going to correlate to what we already think anyway, and we can all work together. But that divide sometimes comes when it's automatically just relegated to a psyop. And I don't think you're necessarily saying that per se, not that I hear you talk, but it still can be taken that way. Like, I feel like
Sure.
not everybody is smart and are able to comprehend what you're trying to say. So they might just say, "Oh, he just thinks it's a sign. Fuck that. I ain't want to listen to that shit." You're saying more than that, but it's just
I was
we don't
explaining. I was on
clarify
the
that
ground in
two things can be
Buffalo.
true.
I went out to Buffalo after the
Yeah.
top shooting and taught about this in person because I had literally predicted what was going to happen on that day. I didn't know what was going to happen at the Buffalo Tops, but I was expecting a story just like what happened at the Buffalo Tops because it's about white supremacy in this code. Again, the name of this guy, this Chud the Builder, his real name equals 74, like white supremacy. And it was the same thing with the Buffalo Tops thing on Israel's 74th birthday, synced up with a 74-year-old O.J. Simpson at the time, of course, Mr. Buffalo Bill, who was part of this race war in the 90s. Think about that, how they used the O.J. Simpson thing. And still to this day, you're like, oh, the black man got off with murdering the white woman. And that whole thing was a damn psychological operation put on by these same people. I don't think his wife died at all. I just think the whole thing was a psyop just meant to divide the country further because it was majorly divisive. That's what I'm trying to educate about.
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. And I just wanted to throw that in there. Like I said, I came in late, so I didn't see everything you were talking about. So I wish I would have heard. I probably could have had more context of what I'm saying. But that was just the initial thought that I had when I seen that title.
No,
because
but
I know
I appreciate everything you said because you're right. A lot of people will just jump to a conclusion right away. I'm not trying to downplay the racism going on in this country. And that, again, it's just like my mom's side of the family is all from North Dakota, which is very white. And when Obama was the president, that's how they referred to him like they were Chud the Builder. They all call him the N. Oh, the N's, we got an N for a president. Just a bunch of dumb, ignorant people from small town America that don't know shit about shit other than what they see on TV, getting their minds programmed to believe a whole bunch of nonsense.
Right. No, I agree. Man, look, Zach, I appreciate you having me on. I've been a long time listener. I'm always going to keep listening to you because you spread that truth, even though we may not agree on everything, like, religion or I wouldn't say I'm a flat earther. I don't call it flat earth. I don't like saying that. It sounds dumb. You know what I mean? I'm more of an infinite plane kind of guy. You know what I mean? I believe in the interdimensional theory. I mean, I believe everything is right here. And I feel like the other guy said, that's also a psychological thing. If we think that we're just this small itty bitty rock in this vast universe with so many other possibilities, we're not going to realize how important we are, right? It makes us feel small. But if we were the center of everything, if we were all the people, like all the extraterrestrials, what if we were the aliens to the other beings in other dimensions? What if we're the ones that are sought out as high intelligence or high power, because of our energy and our ability to have a spirit and stuff like that? We're the ones that are sought after. But if we don't see it like that, we think we're nothing but stardust. You know what I mean? Which minimizes our value, which then makes us become potentially slaves. Like, if I don't know who I am, I'm really just, at the whim of whoever is in power and what they tell me I am, right? So I think it's more or less a worth issue when it comes to this. I don't know if the earth is flat or round. I don't know anything. I've never been outside of this atmosphere. You know what I mean? So I think we're all in the same boat. We don't really know, but I think all possible possible ideas should be talked about. I don't want to just discredit flat Earth. Like I don't want to just discredit the fact that we've been to space. I want to look at all the information and make a sound judgment. But I'm willing to listen at least. You know what I mean? I'm not committed. I'm just willing to listen. I'm not over here. It's a flat Earth and blah blah. No, I'm willing to listen to either side. You know what I mean? And I think that if we get there, we bring more people in, we share our collective knowledge, we come to a good understanding. But when we start shutting people off and cutting people off because of whatever they think on their own personal, it does also bridge that divide. And we don't need that in the coach community. We need, or the truth community, we need everybody hands on deck, whatever they believe. As long as they want truth, we should be able to come to some kind of common ground. But man, I appreciate you having me on, Zach. Little girl's beautiful. She looks like she's tired, getting annoyed right now. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on, and I'm always gonna support you, man.
All right, thanks, Brandon. You have a good one, man.
Probably too.
All right, take care. Well, little one here is going back to sleep, but she's gonna wake up soon. So she got teeth coming in this week, so she's having a rough week. I think that's also why she's sleeping extra. All right. Anyway, we will leave it there for now. I'm gonna go take care of this one because she is gonna get up here in a minute. And yeah, again, thanks to everyone who hits the like. Oh, we're okay. We're gonna go get some food. We're gonna go get some food. Can you say goodbye? Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, she's too sleepy for goodbye. All right, you guys, we'll leave it there for now. And yeah, people need to, they do need to understand this information. And if it's not clear to you, I do have books out there. Just search Zachary K. Hubbard on that site that everybody knows about that's taken over the world. The books are there. This information, you guys, it allows you to see through the programming. There's so many ways you can refer to this. Programming. And by the way, he brought up a word there. He mentioned energy. If you look up the most popular video on YouTube about Gematria, the practice coding numbers and words, which is typically a Hebrew practice, there's a Jewish rabbi who explains that Gematria is energy. And Gematria equals 74 like energy, like a cult, like Masonic, like a million things that are important to this nation, and a high number that they use in their rituals over and over, just like the one we're talking about today. They are manipulating our energy with the programming. And again, people just have these things inside of them that cause them to have reactions to when information is brought to them. Just like how a lot of people think black people are just bad simply because they're black, because they've been programmed by the TV. When had they actually, say, grown up around black people like yours truly, they'd realize, like, no, black people aren't bad. They're not really any different. In fact, they might even be friendlier, nicer people, because that was really my experience. When I grew up in Portland with black people, the neighbors were friendly and nice. When I moved to wider America, I noticed a lot of my neighbors became weirdos. It is what it is. So, and again, I'm not trying to judge anybody based on race. I'm just saying that a lot of America has been programmed to think black people are bad through screens, not through their own personal experience. And then also people who, you do see this stuff online now all the time, like even CTE, who is a black man who sits on his platform. However, he has gotten better in the last year that I've been badgering him about being Clayton Bigsby. He's doing less of that now, but, he'll point to all the stereotypes. And again, so many of the stereotypes that people have against black people are because of the system that we, again, I mean, I've talked about all these things a million times, but to fight over race is to fight over something that nobody can choose. You cannot choose what your race is. And for anybody who's ever lived in a diverse community, you realize that I'm a broken record about this stuff. But yeah, I'm going to end this stream for now. We'll talk more about it later. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share. Learn this knowledge, see through the lies that are fed to us every single day. Every single day. There's a reason I've been here for 13 years straight, showing the top propaganda of the day and how it's encoded. Programming. It's a real thing. These computers that we're on, there's a people that put the code behind it, and that code dictates how you use these computer systems. And more with social media, the kind of information that's reaching you is because of the code. Anyway. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share, and thank you to everyone who leaves a comment. Till next time, True Seeker. Oh, and shout out to the super chatters too. Again, thank you, Matt, for the big 100. You know, I had 2 people ask me for money today. Somebody asked for $25 and then another person asked for 40. I gave it to both of them. And lo and behold, Matt comes through and donates 100. Granted, YouTube will take half of that. But they do say, you know, when you're generous with the world, the generosity comes back to you. I don't normally get $100 super chats, but I thought, that's interesting. I gave away $65 today, and then somebody comes back and gives most of it back. Granted, it would have been more, but YouTube does take so much because they're a super greedy platform. And then 4 super chats. That's about 4 times as many as we usually get. So thanks again, True Seekers. And until next time.